Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly overcome every challenge, achieving successes that others only dream of, while others constantly struggle, fail, and miss opportunities? The difference isn't to luck, and it is to innate talent. These in the way they think strategically, the ability to anticipate, predict outcomes, plan intelligently, and act effectively. In this video, we are going to explore the art of strategic thinking, how you can outsmart any challenge and win big in life. Strategic thinking isn't just for leaders, entrepreneurs, or military geniuses. It's a skill anyone can learn if they're willing to change the way they approach problems and make decisions. Imagine standing at a critical crossroads in your life, where every choice could lead to success or failure. People who lack strategic thinking act on emotion, external pressures, or old habits that have become second nature. But strategic thinkers see further ahead, anticipate outcomes, weigh risks, and choose the path that maximizes their chances of success. In this video, you will learn how to analyze situations from multiple angles, identify strategic options, and apply them smartly to both your personal life and your career. You will discover that decisions you once thought were random or lucky can actually be engineered through strategic thinking. And the best part is, even if you feel overwhelmed or have faced setbacks, you can still outsmart every challenge by changing how you think and act. Get ready, because what you are about to hear won't just inspire you. It will give you practical tools to start applying strategic thinking today. This is your first step to no longer being knocked down by unexpected challenges, but instead turning them into opportunities to rise stronger than ever. Welcome to the art of strategic thinking, where every decision is designed to lead you toward victory. Part 2. Understanding strategic thinking. Strategic thinking is more than just making plans or solving problems. At its core, it is the ability to see the bigger picture, anticipate outcomes, and act in ways that maximize your chances of success. It's about understanding not just what is happening right now, but what could happen in the future, and how each decision you make influences the path ahead. People who excel at strategic thinking don't react blindly to circumstances. They analyze, predict, and deliberately choose actions that move them closer to their goals. Think of it this way. While most people are busy putting out fires, strategic thinkers are planning the next moves that will prevent those fires from ever starting. They constantly ask themselves, if I do this, what happens next? What could go wrong? What opportunities could this create? That forward-thinking mindset allows them to stay several steps ahead of challenges and competitors alike. One of the most important aspects of strategic thinking is clarity of purpose. Before you can act strategically, you must understand exactly what you want to achieve. Vague goals like I want to be successful or I want to be happy don't provide enough direction. Strategic thinkers define precise objectives, whether that's launching a new business, advancing in their career, or improving a personal skill. Once the goal is crystal clear, they can map out the steps needed to reach it, identify potential obstacles, and prepare contingencies in advance. Without clarity, even the smartest decisions can lead nowhere. Another key element is situational awareness, the ability to observe your environment, gather information, and understand the dynamics at play. Strategic thinkers pay attention to patterns, trends, and the actions of others. They notice details that most people overlook and use this insight to make informed decisions. It's not about being paranoid or controlling every variable. It's about being aware and understanding the forces that could affect your outcome. With situational awareness, you can spot opportunities early, avoid unnecessary risk, and make choices that give you a competitive edge. Strategic thinking also requires flexibility and adaptability. No matter how carefully you plan, circumstances change, and unexpected challenges arise. Strategic thinkers don't rigidly stick to a plan. They adapt, pivot, and find new paths when obstacles appear. This isn't indecisiveness, it's intelligence in motion. By remaining flexible, you ensure that your strategy evolves with reality instead of being derailed by it. Finally, strategic thinking is about long-term focus. It's easy to get caught up in short-term gains or immediate gratification, but strategic thinkers understand that true success comes from making decisions that benefit the bigger picture. Every action, no matter how small, is evaluated in terms of its long-term impact. They consider not only the direct results, but also the ripple effects that their choices create. This mindset separates those who achieve lasting success from those who settle for temporary wins. In essence, strategic thinking is a skill that transforms the way you approach life. It allows you to navigate complexity with confidence, anticipate challenges before they arise, and make decisions that consistently move you closer to your goals. It's not about being smarter than everyone else. It's about thinking ahead, preparing, and acting deliberately. Anyone can develop this skill with practice and discipline, and when you do, you will find yourself facing challenges with a level of clarity and control that others can only envy. By understanding what strategic thinking truly is, you've taken the first step toward mastering it. The next step is learning the core principles that guide strategic thinkers, so you can apply them systematically in your life. These principles will give you the framework to make smarter choices, outmaneuver obstacles, and ultimately win big, not just once but consistently. Part 3. Core Principles of Strategic Thinking. Now that we understand what strategic thinking is, it's time to dive into the core principles that guide it. These principles aren't just abstract ideas. They're actionable guidelines that anyone can apply to make better decisions and navigate life more effectively. Strategic thinking is not magic. It's a disciplined approach, a way of seeing the world and making choices that consistently lead to better outcomes. The first principle is clarity of goals. Without a clearly defined objective, even the smartest strategy will falter. Strategic thinkers don't operate on vague notions of success. They define what success looks like in measurable, specific terms. For instance, instead of saying, "I want to be healthier," a strategic thinker might set a goal like, "I will work out for 45 minutes 5 times a week and track my nutrition daily." The difference is not subtle. Clarity gives your mind a target to aim for, a benchmark to measure progress against, and a framework for evaluating every choice you make. Every decision, every action becomes intentional rather than random. The second principle is situational analysis. This means carefully examining the circumstances, gathering relevant information, and understanding all the factors at play. Strategic thinkers look beyond the surface. They ask, what are the trends? What patterns are emerging? How are others reacting? What resources do I have? And what constraints exist? By analyzing the situation from multiple angles, you gain insight that most people overlook. This is what allows strategic thinkers to identify opportunities that others miss and avoid pitfalls before they happen. The third principle is anticipation and foresight. Strategic thinkers constantly ask themselves, if I take this step, what are the possible outcomes? What could go wrong? What could go right? They mentally simulate different scenarios before acting, considering both short-term consequences and long-term impact. This foresight doesn't mean they can predict the future perfectly. It means they prepare for multiple possibilities, which gives them flexibility and control when circumstances change. The fourth principle is option generation and evaluation. Rarely is there only one path to success. Strategic thinkers generate multiple options and evaluate each based on potential risks and rewards. They compare alternatives objectively, weighing pros and cons without letting emotion cloud judgment. This process allows them to choose the course of action most likely to produce the desired outcome, while minimizing unnecessary risk. In other words, they think in probabilities and possibilities rather than absolutes. The fifth principle is flexibility and adaptability. Even the most carefully crafted plan can be disrupted by unexpected events. Strategic thinkers don't cling rigidly to a plan just because it's been written down. They adjust, pivot, and modify their approach as new information emerges. Flexibility is not indecision. It's in responsiveness. It allows them to stay on track toward a goal even when the world around them changes. This principle also emphasizes resilience. Setbacks are not failures, but feedback signals that the strategy needs refinement. The sixth principle is long-term thinking and patience. True strategic thinkers parody the long game over immediate gratification. They understand that meaningful outcomes often require sustained effort, delayed rewards, and consistent application of their strategy. They avoid impulsive decisions that provide temporary relief but compromise future gains. Every choice is measured not only by immediate results, but by its ripple effects over time. This long-term perspective separates those who achieve enduring success from those who settle for short-term wins that fade quickly. Finally, the seventh principle is continuous learning and reflection. Strategic thinking is not static. It evolves as you gain experience, acquire new information, and observe the results of your actions. Reflecting on successes and failures alike is crucial. By analyzing what worked, what didn't, and why, you refine your thinking, improve your decisions, and become progressively better at anticipate outcomes. learning becomes part of the strategy itself. By consistently applying these principles, clarity of goals, situational analysis, foresight, evaluating options, flexibility, long-term thinking, and continuous learning, you develop a mindset that transforms challenges into opportunities. You start seeing patterns others miss, spotting possibilities before they appear obvious, and making choices that compound over time to create significant advantages. Strategic thinking then becomes a habit, a lens through which you approach life, and a tool that gives you control over your destiny rather than leaving it to chance. Once you internalize these principles, you can start applying them not only to career and business decisions, but also to personal goals, relationships, finances, and even day-to-day problems. The real power of strategic thinking is that it is universal. No matter your circumstances, you can use these principles to make smarter decisions, outmaneuver obstacles, and achieve meaningful success consistently. Part 4. Inspiring case studies. Understanding the principles of strategic thinking is one thing, but seeing them applied in real life makes them unforgettable. Let's explore some inspiring examples of people who mastered strategic thinking and used it to overcome challenges, outsmart competitors, and achieve remarkable success. These are not just stories of talent or luck, they are lessons in deliberate, calculated action and long-term vision. First, consider Napoleon Bonaparte. On the surface, Napoleon might seem like a historical figure of sheer brilliance and audacity, but a closer look reveals a mind honed for strategy. He meticulously analyzed the battlefield, studied the movements of enemies, and anticipated their decisions. Napoleon's victories were rarely the result of spontaneous heroics. They were the outcome of anticipating multiple scenarios and preparing contingencies for each. He understood the terrain, his own resources, and the psychology of his opponents, which allowed him to execute maneuvers that others would never have imagined. The lesson here is clear. Strategic thinking often involves careful observation, prediction, and planning ahead. Success rarely comes from acting impulsively. Next, take Oprah Winfrey, a modern-day example of strategic thinking applied to personal and professional growth. Oprah did to become a media icon by being mighty. She built her empire by understanding her audience, recognizing untapped opportunities, and making long-term strategic decisions. She carefully selected projects that aligned with her vision, took calculated risks, and adapted when things did to go as planned. Oprah also strategically cultivated relationships and partnerships that amplified her influence. Her journey teaches us that strategic thinking isn't too limited to business strategy. It applies equally to personal branding, networking, and the choices we make about who we allow into our circle of influence. Another compelling example is J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series. Rowling faced numerous rejections from publishers before her first book was accepted, but she never gave up. Her strategic thinking was evident in the way she approached the publishing world, carefully timing her submissions, understanding market trends, and targeting publishers most likely to appreciate her work. She also planned the series in advance, mapping out complex storylines that would unfold over multiple books. Showing foresight and careful long-term planning, Rowling's story highlights the importance of persistence combined with a strategic approach. Success is rarely instant, but consistent, calculated efforts can yield extraordinary results. In the world of sports, Michael Jordan exemplifies strategic thinking in action. Beyond raw talent, Jordan's ability to study opponents, anticipate their moves, and adapt during the game set him apart. He didn't just play the game. He played the mental chess of basketball, understanding how to leverage strengths, exploit weaknesses, and make high-pressure decisions that would turn the tide in his favor. Jordan's preparation off the court, his study of game footage, and his relentless training all reflect a strategic mindset that went far beyond natural ability. Lastly, consider Indra Nooyi, former CEO of Epico. She led the company through major transformations by thinking strategically about global trends, consumer behavior, and long-term sustainability. Nooyi evaluated risks, anticipated market shifts, and implemented bold initiatives that positioned PepsiCo for decades of growth. Her leadership demonstrates that strategic thinking isn't too only for crises or high-stakes moments. It's about consistent decision-making that aligns with a broader vision. What ties these examples together is not luck or raw talent, but a shared ability to see ahead, plan deliberately, and act with purpose. They all practice situational awareness, anticipated outcomes, evaluated options, and adapted when necessary. Strategic thinking allowed them to convert challenges into opportunities and to make decisions that had lasting impact. For you, the tie is simple but powerful. Strategic thinking is a skill that can be cultivated. By analyzing situations carefully, anticipating challenges, weighing options, and planning your actions, you can navigate obstacles more effectively and increase your likelihood of success. The people we just explored didn't just react to circumstances, they shaped them. And that is the essence of strategic thinking. Taking control, thinking ahead, and consistently making decisions that move you closer to your goals. My 5. Practical steps to apply strategic thinking. Now that we've explored inspiring examples of strategic thinkers, it's time to bring these concepts into your own life. Understanding strategy is valuable, but knowing how to apply it practically is what transforms knowledge into real results. The good news is that strategic thinking is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and refined. Here are the steps you can take to apply strategic thinking effectively in both your personal and professional life. The first step is defining clear objectives. You cannot navigate a complex situation without knowing your destination. Start by asking yourself, what is it I truly want to achieve? Be specific. Rather than setting vague intentions like I want to be successful, define measurable outcomes. I will increase my income by 20% this year, or I will complete a certification program within 6 months. Clear objectives provide a target for your strategic thinking. Every choice you make can then be evaluated based on whether it moves you closer to this goal or not. Without this clarity, even the most brilliant strategies can become wasted effort. The second step is analyzing your situation thoroughly. Gather all relevant information and examine the context carefully. What resources do you currently have? What constraints exist? Who are the key players? And what are their motivations? What patterns or trends can you identify? This situational awareness allows you to understand the dynamics of your environment. Strategic thinkers don't act blindly. They make decisions based on a deep understanding of the landscape. For example, a business leader evaluating a new market would research consumer behavior, competitor strategies, and potential risks before committing resources. You can apply the same principle to personal decisions, whether it's managing your finances, improving your health, or advancing your career. The third step is forecasting possible outcomes. Once you understand the situation, consider the consequences of each potential action. What could go right? What could go wrong? Imagine multiple scenarios and assign likelihoods to each. This mental simulation allows you to anticipate obstacles and opportunities before they arise. For instance, before negotiating a promotion, think through how your manager might respond, what objections they could raise, and how you can address them proactively. By visualizing these outcomes, you prepare yourself to respond strategically rather than react emotionally. The fourth step is generating and evaluating options. Rarely is there only one path to success. List all possible courses of action and weigh them based on risk, reward, feasibility, and alignment with your long-term objectives. Strategic thinkers compare options objectively using logic and evidence rather than impulse or habit. For example, if you want to grow your business, you might consider options such as expanding your product line, investing in marketing, forming partnerships, or acquiring a competitor. Each option has pros and cons, and a thoughtful evaluation will reveal which path is most likely to deliver the desired results. The fifth step is planning and prioritizing actions. Once you've chosen your course, break it down into actionable steps. Define what needs to be done first, what can be delegated, and what resources are required. Prioritization is essential because it ensures your energy and attention are focused on actions that produce the greatest impact. For example, a student preparing for exams might prioritize subjects based on difficulty and exam weight, rather than treating all subjects equally. This method ensures efficiency and prevents wasted effort. The sixth step is implementation with discipline. Strategy without execution is meaningless. Put your plan into action, following the steps you've outlined. Maintain discipline. Stay focused on your objectives, and avoid being sidetracked by distractions or short-term temptations. Strategic thinkers recognize that consistent, deliberate action is what turns plans into results. Remember, the best-laid strategy in the world cannot succeed if it remains theoretical. Execution transforms ideas into outcomes. The seventh step is monitoring and adjusting. Strategic thinkers don't assume their plan is perfect. They continuously monitor progress, evaluate results, and adjust their strategy as needed. This feedback loop allows them to respond to new information, unexpected obstacles, or changing circumstances. For example, an entrepreneur might notice that a marketing campaign isn't generating expected engagement and pivot by testing new messaging or targeting a different audience. Flexibility ensures that setbacks don't derail your overall objectives. The eighth step is reflecting and learning from experience. After each project or decision, take time to analyze what worked, what did, and why. Strategic thinking is an iterative process. The more you learn from your successes and failures, the more refined your judgment becomes. This reflection builds intuition over time, allowing you to make faster and more accurate strategic decisions in the future. Finally, strategic thinking must be applied consistently across all areas of life. Whether you be managing your career, finances, relationships, or health, the same principles apply. Define your goals, analyze the situation, anticipate outcomes, generate options, plan, execute, adjust, and learn. By practicing these steps regularly, strategic thinking becomes a habit, a lens through which you approach every challenge and opportunity. It transforms your decisions from reactive and uncertain to deliberate and informed, giving you a clear edge over those who act impulsively or without foresight. By following these practical steps, you equip yourself with the tools to outsmart challenges, make smarter decisions, and achieve meaningful success. Strategic thinking is not reserved for leaders or geniuses. It is a skill anyone can develop. What matters is commitment, practice, and the willingness to think ahead and act deliberately. Start small, apply these steps in daily decisions, and gradually expand to bigger, more complex challenges. Over time, your ability to anticipate, plan, and act strategically will grow, creating compounding advantages in every area of your life. Part 6. Common mistakes in strategic thinking. Even the most disciplined and ambitious individuals can stumble when it comes to strategic thinking. Understanding the principles and steps is only half the battle. Applying them effectively requires awareness of common pitfalls that can undermine your efforts. By recognizing these mistakes, you can avoid them and make your strategic thinking far more powerful. The first common mistake is lacking clear objectives. Without a defined goal, all strategic planning becomes aimless. Many people think they are being strategic simply by making plans. But if those plans aren't anchored to specific outcomes, they often lead nowhere. Vague intentions like "I want to do better" or "I want to succeed" provide no guidance for making decisions. Clear, measurable objectives are essential because they give your strategy direction and a way to evaluate progress. Strategic thinkers know exactly what they are aiming for and align every decision to move closer to that goal. The second mistake is overanalyzing or falling into analysis paralysis. While it is crucial to gather information and consider options, spending too much time analyzing without taking action can prevent progress. Strategic thinking is not about perfection, it's about informed action. Waiting for complete certainty before making a move often results in missed opportunities. Effective strategic thinkers strike a balance. They analyze enough to make informed decisions but act decisively when it's time to move forward. A third mistake is failing to anticipate risk. Some people focus solely on the potential rewards of a decision and ignore what could go wrong. Strategic thinking requires considering multiple scenarios, including worst-case outcomes, so that contingency plans are in place. Ignoring risk leaves you vulnerable to unexpected setbacks and reduces your ability to respond effectively when challenges arise. The fourth mistake is rigid adherence to a plan. Even the best strategy will encounter obstacles and changing circumstances. Those who stick stubbornly to their original plan, refusing to adapt, often fail when conditions shift. Strategic thinkers remain flexible and responsive, adjusting their approach based on new information or unexpected events. Flexibility is not indecision, it's intelligence in motion, allowing you to stay on course toward your goal, despite challenges. The fifth mistake is short-term thinking. Many people focus on immediate gratification or quick wins, neglecting the long-term consequences of their decisions. True strategic thinkers evaluate both short-term outcomes and long-term impact, ensuring that every decision contributes to lasting success. Sacrificing long-term advantage for short-term convenience often leads to repeated setbacks and stalled progress. Another common pitfall is neglecting reflection and learning. Strategic thinking is an iterative process. Without reviewing your actions, analyzing results, and learning from mistakes, your strategy cannot improve. Each failure or success carries valuable lessons that can refine your decision-making over time. Ignoring this step limits growth and prevents the development of intuitive, high-level strategic thinking. Finally, some people underestimate the role of execution. A brilliant strategy is meaningless without disciplined implementation. Many fail not because their plan was flawed, but because they did not follow through consistently. Strategic thinking combines planning with action, and only by executing your strategy can you convert insight into real result. By being aware of these common mistakes, lack of clarity over analysis, ignoring risks, rigidity, short-term thinking, neglecting reflection, and poor execution, you can safeguard your strategic thinking process. Awareness allows you to adjust your approach, strengthen your decision-making, and increase the probability of achieving your objectives. Strategic thinking is not about being perfect, it's about making informed, adaptable, and deliberate choices that consistently move you closer to your goals. When you avoid these pitfalls, you create a strong foundation for success. Your decisions become sharper, your plans more resilient, and your actions more effective. Strategic thinking then transforms from a concept into a practical, actionable skill that empowers you to navigate life in complexities with confidence and foresight. Part 7. Call to action. Now that you've learned what strategic thinking is, explored its core principles, seen inspiring examples, learned practical steps, and understood common mistakes, it is time to bring it all together and take action. Knowledge alone is not enough without application. Even the most brilliant insights remain dormant. Strategic thinking becomes powerful only when it is applied consistently, deliberately, and with purpose. This is your moment to transform the way you approach challenges, opportunities, and decisions in every area of your life. The first step is to commit to applying strategic thinking in your daily life. Begin by selecting one area, or your career, personal finances, health, or a specific project where you want to see measurable improvement. Define your objective clearly. Remember, a goal without specificity is just a wish, for example. Rather than saying, I want to advance in my career, set a target like, I will complete 3 professional certifications within the next 12 months and seek a promotion in my department. This clarity gives direction to your strategy and a benchmark for evaluating your progress. Next, analyze your current situation. Gather information about your resources, constraints, and opportunities. Understand the dynamics of your environment and the people involved. Strategic thinkers pay attention to details that others overlook, noticing trends, patterns, and potential obstacles. The more accurately you can assess your situation, the better equipped you will be to make decisions that move you closer to your goal. Once you've assessed your environment, forecast potential outcomes of your decisions. Imagine different scenarios. What could go right, what could go wrong, and how likely each outcome is. Consider both short-term and long-term consequences. Anticipating these possibilities allows you to prepare contingencies and make decisions proactively rather than reactively. This mental rehearsal may feel like extra work at first, but it's one of the most powerful tools for gaining control over uncertainty. Then, generate options and choose the best course of action. Strategic thinking is not about finding one perfect solution. It's about evaluating alternatives and selecting the path most likely to achieve your goals. Weigh the pros and cons, consider risk and rewards, and choose with intention. Remember, acting decisively is part of the strategy. Delaying decisions in the hope of perfect certainty often leads to missed opportunities. Once you have chosen your path, plan, and prioritize actions, break your strategy down into concrete, manageable steps. Determine which tasks require immediate attention, which can be delegated, and which should be scheduled for later. Prioritization ensures that your energy is focused on high-impact actions rather than wasted on trivial or low-value tasks. The next step is execution with discipline. This is where many people fail. Knowing what to do is not the same as actually doing it. Strategic thinkers understand that consistent, deliberate action transforms plans into results. Stay focused, minimize distractions, and commit to following through on the steps you've outlined. Execution is the bridge between intention and achievement. As you implement your strategy, monitor progress and adapt when necessary. Strategic thinking is a dynamic process. Obstacles will arise, circumstances will change, and new information will emerge. Be flexible, adjust your plan as needed, learn from setbacks, and refine your approach. Flexibility is not indecision, Gesian, intelligence in motion, keeping you on course even when the unexpected occurs. Finally, reflect and learn. After each action or project, evaluate what worked, what needed to, and why. Every success and failure carries valuable lessons that refine your ability to think strategically over time. This reflection builds intuition and insight, allowing you to make faster and more accurate strategic decisions in the future. The power of strategic thinking lies in its universality. Whether you are navigating a career move, managing a business, improving personal relationships, or tackling life in daily challenges, these principles can be applied consistently to gain an advantage. When you commit to practicing strategic thinking, you begin to see challenges not as threats but as opportunities. You gain clarity, foresight, and control, transforming uncertainty into a landscape you can navigate with confidence. So herein, your call to action. Start today. Pick a goal, analyze your situation, forecast outcomes, plan your actions, execute with discipline, adapt as needed, and reflect on your results. Don't wait for the perfect moment because it will never come. Strategic thinking is a skill you develop through practice, reflection, and persistence. Each step you take compounds, building momentum and opening doors that seemed impossible before. Remember, every successful person you admire started with the same fundamental principle. Thinking strategically, they didn't rely on luck. They anticipated, planned, and acted deliberately. Now it's on your turn. The challenges you face are not obstacles to fear. They are opportunities to apply your strategic mind, outsmart difficulties, and achieve victories that will transform your life. The choice is yours. Start now and begin thinking strategically today. Thanks for watching the video. If you found this content helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. BookSnack is your go-to place for short and enjoyable book summaries. Got a book you go like us to cover next? Drop the title in the comments below. I will be reading all of them and picking the most requested ones. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.